Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your number one source for all things Final Fantasy TCG, sponsored by Ultimate Guard. Oh, yeah, by the way, we actually saw John Wick 3 this weekend. Your take on the movie was very, very much the best video game movie not based on a video game.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I feel like that's the audience that it appeals to. So.
Oh, dude. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I've ever seen a movie with as many shots to the dick than there were in this movie.
They threw him through like 80 glass windows. Yeah, he also got thrown through like 80 glass windows.
Oh, dude, every time. It was just full of low blows and just it was like some very like pro wrestling style special effects. But you know what? It was absolutely fantastic. And I was enthralled from start to finish. So that's my glaring endorsement on that one. But you know what, Adam? We're in a place now where there are no cheap shots. There are no dick shots, no low blows. And we're not going to throw each other through glass windows. We're back for the next episode of the RVA Returners Podcast. Guys, I'm your host, Chris Adams. With me as always, Adam Lane. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, man. What a good time. What a high energy movie that was. But pretty good week here. We've got a lot going on. It looks like community spoilers have, kind of kicked off over in the UK. We got, big events coming up. We've got some big things happening here locally. Our ranks have increased again. So it's been a good week overall for the game. And, we've got a fun topic to talk about, kind of, it's kind of a hot topic right now, and we're going to, cover more of that. But, Adam, I don't think we're not going to beat around the bush. We're not going to waste any ammo on this one. We're just going to John Wick it. We're going right into it. It's the news. Yeah, so first up in the news, like I said, our ranks have increased once again. We were happy to announce that Lord Byron, Brian Bielicki, has actually joined the Returners, coming off hot his Crystal Cup victory. Lord Byron has actually been a kind of a fixture here in our local events. He comes to almost every Soldier Series event. Sometimes he'll pop up to our Tuesday locals. Usually if there's a tournament at Battlegrounds, he's here. I know he's a big part of the Fredericksburg scene since he started playing. Steven has kind of said that that's his pupil. But he brings a great attitude to the team, and just, he's a really good guy and just a really, really great player who we've actually got to see improve to this level. So, it's a really, really good thing to have him on this team for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is his first card game or not, but I remember when he first started playing. So. Mm-hmm. Because I remember him coming down to like the first Battlegrounds event that he came to, and I feel like when we went up there for one of the Fredericksburg events, he had like just started playing.
Mm-hmm. And he clearly has improved tenfold, and I think he's a great addition to not only our team but also to the World's team again. So big congratulations to him. We're actually super privileged to have him on our team, and we can't wait to see what happens moving forward. So speaking of local scenes, Adam, John Schreiner joined the team a while back, and he approached us with this really neat idea about almost having a second locals during the week, but one that can be a little bit more inclusive without people having to put on pants, essentially. So he had this idea. And Adam, I'll let you, because I know since we've started it, I've been sick or just wasn't able to participate just because I just was not up to it. But we're doing this Octagon locals essentially. We're creating this feeling of like a digital space that's also like an LGS, but with fun, flavorful Final Fantasy VI names as we often do. So Adam, tell us a little bit more about the Octagon locals that have been doing.
Yeah, so
that we just started, I should say.
Yeah, we had like a soft launch that I wasn't actually involved in at all. I couldn't make it, and that seemed to go well. That was just like a bunch of like kind of Virginia and New Jersey, Pennsylvania people that participated in that one. Just to like a smaller one, just to make sure like everything was working properly, like the Discord channel was set up and everything. Mm-hmm. And then this past week, on Wednesday, we kicked off the official like first one. I think we had like 27 or 28 people sign up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we tried to cap it at 32. We didn't quite meet the cap, but we don't want to make it like too long because some people don't want to be online till like 11:30, and it ended up going longer than we thought anyways. But we'll have to like kind of fix that and make sure the games are faster going forward, and probably have to time games. But yeah, it was 5 rounds. We just did a top cut, and then just basically what you would do at like most locals. Didn't play it out. Adam Duncan won with his Wind Lightning like Cypher AoE damage with rain type deck. Second was actually a mono fire list. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You finished second.
I don't recall their name, so I apologize. I think John's still in the process of putting the lists up on FFTCG. I don't know if he's got all the decks yet.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it was a pretty diverse field. It's a lot of people trying some crazy stuff. I saw a lot of cards you don't normally see because it's a free tournament. Everybody's trying to have fun.
Yeah.
And people brought some meta stuff too. You saw like Moto Water. You saw some Ice Water and some Wind Water in there. I don't think I saw a single dot Illuma though.
Oh, nice. I think people are already taking that to heart, aren't they?
Yeah. But it was fun. I got to commentate the whole thing. I also ran I used the Square software to run the event. And it's kind of like the cool thing is like in between rounds, there's not much downtime because literally as soon as everything's coming in, I'm putting it in the computer because I'm at the computer, and as soon as the last round or the last game finishes, I can literally just hit like pairings for the next round, and then just copy and paste it into the Discord channel, and everybody kind of moves to their own table, which are all pre-set up in the Discord channel. Every table has their own voice channel, so it's pretty sweet. John set all that up. And John was also streaming. He had a few power issues on some rounds, but other than that, the stream went pretty smooth.
We've had some very unfortunate weather here on the East Coast in the last few days.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's going to be every Wednesday for right now going forward. There's a chance if there's more interest for a West Coast time one, maybe we'll try to make that happen like later. Depends on like who's available because we have to have one person at least running it and commentating it and stuff.
Exactly.
I know like I'm not going to be able to make it every Wednesday, but I'm going to try to commentate when I can, just for kind of practice and for fun.
And that's definitely what I plan on doing, being in the commentary booth for this, just to kind of, entertain the masses. And, like I said, last week I wanted to be there, but just coming down the home stretch of being sick, I had gone back to work and I was just wiped. There was no way.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I always have fun commentating. I felt like me and John did pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
I made a few like psychic EX burst calls. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
People were having a good time. It seemed like, which was great, and that's really what matters. So, I think it's going to continue. Yeah, I think it's going to continue for a while. So. Yeah,
no, for sure. Because like, really, what we're trying to do is really create that feeling of like a locals event. This isn't like a hyper competitive event. This is something where and the thing is we've opened it up to other people that aren't just Virginia local, so this is a great way to give people a chance who maybe like the game, play the game. Octagon is their only outlet to maybe kind of get like the feel of a local scene, you know what I mean? So yeah, we're definitely as inclusive as we can be.
Yeah, and I mean this is open to anyone. Like even West Coast people can play, even though it starts at 7, which is like 4 their time. I think we started round 1 around 7:30. We had like a players meeting, gave like 10 minutes for people to show up. But we'll have to probably start being a little bit more strict on time just to make sure things end at like a reasonable hour, because some rounds took a little long. Some players dropped, and we had some hiccups with some drops and stuff like that. But other than that, it was fine.
And I know we've talked about that, obviously we've got that cap in place each week, that if you sign up and you're not in the cap, you will actually be first in line for the following week to play.
Yeah, and if for some weird reason we ever get to the point where we have more than 64 people, you'll have like wait 2 weeks, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know if that's gonna happen. If it does, that's a great thing, honestly. So
exactly, and I guess that's a problem. Like we'll burn that bridge when we get to it, right?
Yeah.
For sure. But, be on the lookout for that. If you want to participate, we'll be posting about it every week. And I'm not sure, again, that's still very much in the infancy. Again, we've had one actual week and then we had like a dry run the week before. So I want to say if people are interested, they post on either the post that John makes or they come to the Discord channel.
If they
I'm still
just
fuzzy on how the.
all they have to do is request the Discord link from either like me or John or someone that has it, which is a lot of
Gotcha.
people. Once you're in the Discord, there's a bunch of channels. Everything tells you what to do. Every channel, like every kind of like channel within the channel, like kind of tells you where you should be posting, where you should be registering, where you should put your deck list, all that stuff. It's already
Exactly.
it's very self-explanatory once you're in the Discord.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, it's shaping up to be a really neat thing for not just us, but for anybody that wants to play and get some, and again, we say it's a very not hyper competitive thing, but if you're testing a competitive deck, there's going to be a bunch of good players playing. So, you're in a good spot if that's what you're looking to do. So it's for all levels of people trying to play for sure.
We had two of the three North American Worlds players playing in it, so that
Yeah.
helps you
So
at
that
all.
should tell you something. And speaking of North American Worlds, some tickets for a couple of events went on sale this week. The tickets for the Richmond Crystal Cup went on sale. I believe it was Thursday.
Sounds right,
It was Thursday. Big shout outs to Daniel Jones and getting all that together with Battlegrounds. I know those guys have been busy. They set it up through a Facebook link, and Daniel will be able to track all the sales, know who's already bought. So don't worry about. I know it's not like it's a different method of doing it from the other Crystal Cups, but if you've got your ticket, we know it. So don't worry about that. It's gonna be a good time. I want to say we have it capped at 120, I believe, for space.
Yeah, and I think we've already sold half the tickets. So,
Yeah, it did
yeah,
not take long.
I'd say if you're gonna play, you should plan on probably buying them pretty soon. I don't know if we're gonna reach quite cap, but I imagine it'll come kind of close. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure we'll hit 100 easy. But it's going to be a good event. That's July 6th. So, hope to see everybody there for that. Definitely start making your travel arrangements now. Airbnbs and hotel rooms are booking up quick. Not only did the Richmond tickets go on sale, the tickets for Gen Con actually went on sale as well. There's obviously the two main events. There's a sealed event and there's the constructed event, which has a world qualifier spot at the end. I believe the sealed one does also.
yeah, it's win or go home. So both of them are
Okay.
first place goes to Worlds, no Nats invites as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a Zidane for entry, and I imagine there's some other prize support as well, but that's not really
Oh,
clear
sure.
this time.
Mm-hmm. And I'm at least looking on the Gen Con website, I saw where there was like a bunch of like small little like casual events going on, but I don't really know much of the details on that. But the two main ones that people are interested in are the constructed event and the sealed event. Now I know the constructed event had from what I understand, a soft cap of 74.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Now, like we said, that wasn't a hard cap, and I know a lot of people got into a tizzy when they saw the actual cap for that event. Gen Con's a really, really good time. I know I had a blast last year when I went. I thought the events were great. Just hanging out with everybody was great, and you're kind of in like the mecca for tabletop gaming at that point. So if you've been curious about going and you play this game, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it was a good time last year. And I'm actually looking forward. I know a lot of people aren't looking forward to it, but I'm actually looking forward to competing in Sealed again. So
Yeah, no, yeah, and I didn't sign up for sealed this year. I'm clearing the path for you right now. No, no God pulls this time, sir. We're gonna take that off the table. This is all you now.
I think
Am I not mistaken?
you should think about it just for the Zidane, honestly, in my opinion. The Zidane will
Yeah, I mean,
probably
I guess the price of admission is probably just the Zidane is worth it alone.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a game time decision because I know last year there was maybe like 40 people that played in it if I'm not mistaken, like 36 to 40.
I think it was more than that, but I don't remember
Was
the
it?
exact number off the top of my head. I feel like it was more. There might have been some people that dropped, but I feel like it was more than 40. I don't recall the exact number, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I may, who knows? Because I know it's going to be Opus 9. I may, start getting into Opus 9 and just love the way limited plays. And yeah, so who knows? I may end up, but for right now, I just signed up for the constructed and I've got my 4-day badge for Gen Con. Accommodations are already set in stone. So I'm ready. It's going to be a great weekend. Right. So not only that, speaking of other events, and this one's a little more closer, we do have the Kansas City Crystal Cup is about 2 weeks away. This will be the first Crystal Cup in North America that is doing the draft format for top 32. So, I know people have been preparing. I know people have been doing draft events at their local events. We've been doing it. I know other areas have been doing it. People have been posting draft decks online just to kind of get feedback. So I think people are ready. I know initially when people were talking about, when draft was first thought about being introduced, it was very much and we had talked about it a lot here on this podcast. I think people have adapted very, very well, and I think people are actually kind of excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it back then. The problem was a lot of people just weren't big fans of it, and I think people are starting to come around and realize that it's actually fun. So,
Yeah.
and it's not
Yeah.
like unbalanced. I think that was a big thing people were trying to like shout out, that it was like some unbalanced format. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think people are starting to realize there's a lot of skill involved, and understanding like what to take when is a big deal, and so
Yep.
people are starting to have more fun with it. And I've seen a lot of more local scenes drafting. I know we've been drafting a pretty good amount. So
Absolutely, and it kind of, I'm happy to eat crow on this one. It looks like our community, for the most part, is ready for this type of format and this kind of varied formats in these competitive events. So that's good. Uh, and I hope to see more of this as we move along, as more as we get further in, maybe other formats as well, not just sealed and draft, but maybe see title introduced. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I'm just happy to see people are embracing draft and they're actually having a really good time. So I want to say now the next, I think that's it for events. And as far as tickets are on sale, so yeah, if there's anything happening locally, LQ's coming up, definitely make sure you check your calendars for those. There's just a lot to do in this game right now. A lot of events to go to, a lot of places to go, a lot of people to see. So, there's no shortage. And speaking of no shortage, Adam, community spoilers looks like they're coming in hot.
yeah, at least for Europe for now. I'm sure we'll start seeing the
Yeah.
North American stuff soon after,
Yeah, so
but
we
Europe seems to be in full effect.
absolutely. So we've got 5 spoilers this week, and I actually like all of these. Some more than others, but I actually like them all. And I guess we'll just go in order. We can start with Alex Hancock's spoiler. I guess that's the first one that showed up this week. If you want to go ahead and read it off.
Yeah, so it's a 4 CP fire forward, King class zero, job class zero cadet, type zero, all that jazz. He's an 8K. You can discard one job class zero cadet instead of paying for his CP cost to play him from the hand onto the field. And then when he enters the field, you choose a forward and it can't block this turn.
I think this card's really neat. I'm a big fan of alternate casting costs, and this one it doesn't really get much cleaner than that. I think it's kind of flavorful in that regard, and I think he has a really solid ETB. I think overall the card's fine. I think you'll see, obviously, I think you'll see really good. He's a good limited card for sure. Will he see constructed play? Maybe. It's really hard to say until we see more cards from the set. But you don't necessarily need to play like dedicated type zero to use this guy. Maybe just a couple characters that might have some sort of really good ability that can help with the deck you're playing. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, he's a really good limited card. Also, just
Yeah.
he can also just discard himself to his own discount,
Hmm.
which is nice. So you don't really technically have to run anything else. But I think it constructed, if he finds a home, it'll be like some small type zero package where you're running like maybe 6 to 9 cadets just to take advantage of the discount. If you play this guy for 2, it's a really really good, and he doesn't
Yeah.
feel awful playing him for 4. He's on curve and he has an ETB, so
Yeah.
and it's an ETB that can win games. Uh,
Exactly.
so I actually think he's pretty solid. I think it's going to be a little hard for where to figure out where he goes, but I think if there ends up being
Yeah.
some deck with fire in it that runs a small cadet package and can get away with it, he's a solid card.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. I'm curious to see what people can do with them. Next up, we have yet another cipher.
Yeah,
Go ahead and read it off.
this one's from Final Fantasy TCG Italy.
Mhm.
He's a 2 CP candidate forward, category 8. If you have a witch, he gains 3,000 power.
And was he a 2 CP 5K?
He is, yeah. He's on curve for 2 CP, so if you have a witch, he's a 8K.
I don't think he's terrible. I think a lot of, I mean, obviously we've already seen a new witch that's on color in this set. Obviously, he plays well with Adea, which isn't terrible if you play in Adea, kill something, play this guy for 2. Now you've got an 8K, possible 9K with Lulu on the board. I don't think he's terrible. I just don't know where he goes again. I mean, I think if you're playing some sort of cipher package, with like the Goon Squad, I think there's the other ciphers are just better. But again, I don't know. I think it's a fine card, and I think if in limited, as far as if you're able to get I cannot remember her name, the
Mia.
Modius, the legendary.
Mia. But she's also a legend, so that's a little bit of a stretch. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and who knows? There could be another version of an Adea or an Ultimecia in this set, perhaps. I mean, you never know. But I think it's fine. I mean, nothing. It's not lighting the world on fire, but I don't think it's terrible either.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a card in draft that's going to wheel to you. If you manage to get Mia in draft and you just can take this as like your last pick in a pack like that, I think that's going to happen pretty often. I think the big issue with this card for Constructed is the EX Cipher exists, and that searches for witches, which is going to go in the same deck that this would go in. And that card, in my opinion, is just better.
Yep.
Because it's going to filter your deck. It's going to get you the things that you really want, not just the 2CP AK. I mean, if you get them online, it's okay. But again, like, just a blank card that powers itself up, because that's what he is. Like, I mean, he doesn't have any other text other than the fact that he gains power.
Yep.
It usually aren't that great. So I don't expect this to see much play. I expect the EX Cipher to jump up and play if like some kind of witch deck is good, and not this one.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree with that 100%. Like I said, not terrible, not lighting the world on fire. Just very meh, very middle of the road.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, we've got the card of the week, Ifrita. Beautiful artwork.
Yeah, the artwork's pretty sick. So this is our first fire like modal summon. So it's a Mobius, just kind of like all the other ones. It's a 3CP summon. Select one of the following 3 actions. If you have 5 or more card Ifrita or card Ifrit in your break zone before paying the cost, select 3 of 3. Choose a 4, deal at 7k. Choose a monster, cost 3 or less, break it. Deal 3,000 damage to all 4s opponent controls.
Man, it's like, this is a card that when I first read it, I was like, oh, this card's kind of cool, and I think I was blinded by the fact that Fire finally got a modal summon. But I think it just requires so much to really get the best kind of value out of it. I like it okay enough, but I don't know. I just don't know if it's good enough. I think the biggest problem I have with it is, it's a 3CP summon, but literally 2 of those 3 modes we saw on a not really great heroic in the last set. So I don't know. The cleave is probably like the cleave effect is probably the best of the 3, but like I'd rather just play Baby Phoenix and not only I'm just cleaving for 2 instead of 3, but I'm also doing something that could improve my side of the board potentially. So I don't know. I don't really know what to think of this card. Adam, maybe you could help sway me one way or the other. I'm very like I want to like it, but right now I kind of don't.
Oh, I'm on the fence. I don't think it's good.
Okay.
So I actually went to Twitter on this card because I had strong feelings. I didn't think it was good, and I talked to like Jordan Dank and some other people on Twitter, and we had a good conversation. Jordan thinks the card's nuts, and the reason he thinks it's nuts, and he brought up some good points, is that you can kind of slot it into Earthwind with like Fina and some stuff like that. But for me, like I don't know, it just at that point it just feels like a worse Valifor. You're just not running Valifor because I guess you're not running Yuna and stuff, but you get the like Valifor has a burst, it costs 1 less, and you don't have to play more fire cards. But I guess maybe if you get to the point where you want to play more fire cards to play your Phoenix, like it's okay. I think in Mono Fire, I don't think this card's good at all. Actually, I don't think you're gonna cut Phoenixes for this card. I don't think you want to cut your like Bahamut's that are seeing play for this card because of like Veritas and stuff. If you want to run Brynhilder, I think Brynhilder is just better with K-Tuna because it's a burst, and that's really what you want to be seeing. And in Mono Fire, a lot of times I think you're just going to be casting this to deal 7k to something. And in that case, it's just a worse Brynhilder because it doesn't have the burst symbol on top. I mean, yeah, you get some more like flexibility out of it, but like, is it really flexible when you're only really doing that like 1 to 5% of the time? I don't really think it is. And you're never, ever, ever getting the 3 of 3. Like that's just you could build an Ifrit deck
Yeah.
if that's your goal. Be prepared to lose a lot of games. You're gonna get some 3 of 3s in that deck, but like you're not gonna be winning a lot of games.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where, yeah. I mean, that's where I stand on it. A lot of people are disagreeing, and that's fine. I encourage them to play the card if they think the card's good. I don't think it's terrible. I think the word I used was awful when I first tweeted it, and I think that's harsh. I don't think the card is awful, but I do think it's going to struggle to see play in competitive decks at competitive events, and I think that's really where I'm coming from. Is like even in fire decks, I don't know where you put it. Earth Wind decks with fire, it can maybe have a place, but like I would probably just run Valifor and maybe start getting even more. I don't know. It's hard to say. I could see that, like, because with Fina, having the extra board wipe is nice. Yeah, I think where it lives is probably Fire Wind. If that becomes, like, some kind of deck, like, I could see it being good there. But, like, Wind just has access to better board cleaves than Fire.
Yep.
And so you're just giving Fire a crappy board cleave on a card, and that's why everybody, I feel like, is looking at it and saying that it's pretty good. But I'm not saying it yet. If someone proves me wrong, that's great. I'm not gonna be mad about it. I want fire cards to be good. I just
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that great. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, I definitely agree with that, and we'll see. Maybe we'll get a new Ifrit in this set that might make it worth playing.
I don't think. See, the thing is, like, even if they print a good Ifrit and you're running 6 copies of that, like, you're probably still not going to get to choose 3 of 3. You have to have 5 in the break zone.
Yeah, which means chances are, if you're casting 5 removal spells like that, you're probably pretty ahead.
Yeah. So I just don't see that happening. Yeah, you could run your 12 to 15 Ifrit deck, but like, even then there'll be games where you don't get it off. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that assessment 100%. So we'll see. We'll see. It's very much up in the air. That's for sure. All right. So next up, these last two. It's like we're seeing some cantrips here. So this will be the second and third cantrips we've seen. Adam, go ahead and start with Mind Flayer.
Yeah. So this one's Joseph here. Spoiler. So 2 CP Ice Summon EX Burst, Category 4 Mind Flayer. EX Burst shoots a forward your opponent controls, double it and draw a card.
I love the old Davy Jones artwork there. I think the card's fine. I don't know. It's weird. Like when I see this card, it reminds me of like Mystical Paralysis from Versus. But I don't know. But like I like the fact that you can move something out of the way and draw a card for 2 CP. I mean, essentially it replaces itself. I think that's really cool. And I believe it is an EX Burst, right?
Yep.
I don't have the art in front of you. That's not terrible. I would like it better if it wasn't like if you didn't have to choose your opponents for it. If you could just choose a forward, I think that'd be really cool. But I think the card's fine. This is one of those cards where I don't really know where it has a home, but I think it's a fine card.
Yeah, I do feel like if you could choose your own, it would be much better. Because then the likeliness of it whiffing on burst is less. Well, I mean, not that really bad, actually, because if you're getting hit with a burst, there's something on the board. So, yeah, never mind. Like, that's always going to hit. So, I mean, yeah, it does something and draws a card. It replaces itself. So, I actually think it's pretty good. I don't know, like, where it's going to go yet. Maybe just the drawing card in, like, Mono Ice makes it worth it, because they don't really have a lot of draw power now. So, if they're drawing cards and making you discard, that seems good.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I think it's solid, and again, it's another really good draft card. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's another one like being able to like play king and say something can't block, then you play that, draw a card, and say dole that. You might just win on the spot. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Totally.
And you've got it all for 2 CP essentially because you've drawn a card.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the card's good. I do. I think it's good. I think this next card's pretty good, but. Let's go ahead and read it first before we dive into it. Go ahead, Adam. Is it new Cuckoo Lane?
Yeah, I think this card's nuts, actually. It's Cuckoo Lane, the Impure. It's a 1 CP EX Burst Water Summon, Category 12. Choose a forward, it loses all abilities until end of turn, draw a card.
Yeah, I like this card a lot. And the fact that it's netting you CP pretty much, and the fact that I like that this one is why you would ever want to wipe one of your own guys' abilities. You know, the situation may come up, but the fact that it's not limited to having to choose an opponent for it, I always like that about a card when you're not limited to choosing on one side of the board or another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's so many great targets here. I mean, we could just rattle them off right now. Veritas, Y'shtola, Arden, Yuri, 4CP Zidane, Ida,
Knight.
Knight. Yeah, I mean, geez, yeah, like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? Obviously, you think the card's nuts too. Like where do you see this card possibly finding a home?
I mean, I think it could go just about anywhere. It seems really good off like the old starter Garnet from Opus 3. You can cast it and just to draw a card and like it seems better, almost probably better than like Poo Poo. Maybe if you really value the extra card, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
But this does something extra, like being able to turn something off. It just seems really good. Y'shtola obviously is the big one for me, right? Like maybe like before your Cognazo turn, you just turn her off, and it's like you're gonna eat this. Like either you're gonna eat this entire CAG. Like it just adds 1 CP to the CAG nickel turn, so it turns a 7 CP play into a 8 CP play that they have like probably no answer to.
Yeah. Well, even then, you're drawing a card off of it. So
Yeah, so really it kind of discounts it, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's extremely good. I think they're definitely gonna find room for at least 1 or 2 of these, maybe. In Wind Water, I don't know if it's gonna like maybe it might find room as like a one of, but you'd have to cut your other choo-choo lanes, which I think they value a lot in that deck, just because like the extra power reduction on top of like the Yuri ping and the Chilinka pings are a big deal, but also like that deck could be okay turning off a Y'shtola as well. I think that's the big card. I think that's the card that the number one culprit this card's gonna like target is Y'shtola. It's like I'm gonna pay 1, turn her off. Do you want to sack her? Like you're probably not, right? You're gonna force me to spin something else, but I'm probably not gonna do that unless I'm gonna kill her. So it just is like 1 CP, draw a card, and then cast something else to kill Y'shtola. I think that's probably the main use of this card. But like you said, it also can do a lot of other things in a lot of other matchups. But I do think that's going to be its primary use. So.
Yep. No, I agree with that 100%. I think the card's solid. I love the fact that it's category 12.
Yeah, it actually isn't bad in title. It's a bit worse in title, I think, because a lot of title stuff. And it depends on the category you're playing, I guess. But like against 7, you're probably not doing too much because if I have something to respond, I'm gonna do the special anyways. I mean, I guess against 9, it could help you in certain ways. And
it's
then,
great in the 12. It's great in the mirror match for 12 too, because you just shut off Fran.
Yeah, sure for that. Yeah, but like a lot of the untargetable stuff, like you're still not gonna be able to target with this. I think that's the biggest problem. But yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I think it's solid. It's probably better than the other choo-choo lane in title.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So yeah, solid cards. Really good week for spoilers, and obviously, as more community spoilers pop up, we'll make sure we have those. Yeah, so I'm every time I see a new card, man, I'm getting more and more excited for Opus 9. There's maybe 1 or 2 cards we've seen so far that I'm still kind of on the fence about or not sure, but I think we're shaping up to have another really solid set, and I'm really excited about it. It's what, little over a month away before the set releases?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. It's like right after the Richmond Crystal Cup. So like Richmond is the last Opus 8 event.
Yeah, and then like pre-release isn't like pre-release like the very next weekend.
I think so. Yeah.
And then the set release is the next week.
Yeah, and then I think like 2 weeks after that is Gen Con. So Opus 9 will be pretty fresh for Gen Con. I want to say, absolutely. Or no, Portland's or not Portland. The other Crystal Cup, Arizona is after Gen Con. Is that right? Yeah, that's definitely right. Yeah.
This calendar, there's so many events. The calendar's so stacked and they're coming so fast. Yeah. But now, as far as kind of diving into our main topic here, I don't think we have any more news. It's it's been a good week for news, but nothing too crazy. But one of the things I did see this week, and this is kind of our main topic this week, our world champion Alex Hancock wrote a really cool article talking about rotation, and I urge everybody to go back and read it. Because that's kind of how I've been feeling for a while. I think a rotation could be good at some point. I don't and I guess where I'm going with that is our main topic here. We're going to talk about like the thoughts of like B&Es, bands and erratas versus just good old fashioned rotation. Um, I think there's good and bad to both sides. I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer for this game right now, but I think if the game were to take a direction one way or another. Now I know I'll preface this by saying I know they've mentioned that they don't plan on doing a rotation, but never say never, right? That's kind of something that we've learned in any card game. That was when, just to kind of take it back to when you and I played Versus. They talked about like never wanting to ban cards, and sure as shit, sometimes you just have to do stuff.
It's a necessary evil. Sometimes
it is. It is, and sometimes a rotation is a necessary evil because they may get to a point where it's like rotate these sets or kill the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your back's against the wall and you have to make a choice. But we'll kind of dive in more into that now. Adam, we're going to talk about again, bans and erratas versus a pure rotation. Now we'll start with bans and erratas. What's some of the good that can come from banning cards and errating certain cards? Like what's some of the good that comes from this?
Yeah, I mean, there's cards that see a ton of play. Like for me, I get value out of my cards by playing them, right? I know some people get upset when their card that's worth a lot of money gets banned and they think the value of it's just going to tank. Which in this game, where it's kind of like it's still kind of in its infancy in comparison to other things, that's probably true. Mm-hmm. But like it forces players to change, because if the game itself doesn't force players to change, why would we change, right? Like unless the game tells me I can't play Diabolus and Y'shtola or Zidane, like why am I going to stop? And both bans and rotations both do that. They tell you like, hey, we're going to rotate these sets, you're going to lose these cards, you can't play them anymore. Hey, we're going to ban or limit these cards or errata these cards. You either can't play them or you have to play them in their new, what they look like now kind of thing, like either one copy or the new errata. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of, it forces players to play differently from what's been how they've been playing in the past, and it allows players that are watching and players that are playing like a fresh experience, so to say. Even though you're playing the same game, not having to deal with certain cards provides a different experience. I will say, in my opinion, with how we're set up right now, I wouldn't want to see a full rotation yet. I'm not saying you can like rule it out inevitably in the future, but like I think there's cards that have identities, and I think Alex brought this up in like his write up. And I think losing those identity cards is a big deal. I do think though, if you're gonna ban and you're gonna go the ban route, more things need to get banned in order to shake something up. Like just banning Dottaluma isn't gonna change much, in my opinion. I think there needs to be like a wave of cards that get banned, maybe like 5 to like 10, somewhere in that area. And they might not necessarily be the cards where you're like, oh, these cards are broken, right? But they're cards that everyone's going to play, and there's no reason not to play them if you're playing those elements. And I think that's the problem we're running into now, is like in these mono decks, especially like the ones that are good, like they're not going to change unless someone forces them to change. And the players.
If I'm playing mono water, if I'm playing mono water, I'm not playing Cognazzo. I'm not playing Lina. You know what I mean? Like those are cards that are gonna be played. And same thing with like Famfrit. That until you say I can't play these cards in this deck, I'm going to play them.
Right, and I'm not saying you need to get rid of all of them or get rid of every win con. Some are worse than others. I do feel like win decks are kind of limited in space of like what they can and can't run, and maybe like. Maybe limiting cards is the way to start it, right? Like, be like, you can only run one copy now of this card. Maybe you can only run one Cognazzo, right? Like, that changes things. And some people are running 2 to 3. No one's running 1. I think you'd probably be nutty to run 1.
No, I agree.
But, like, the fact if, like, that Cognazzo hits on damage, or, like, that card's gone. I don't have to worry about that card anymore. And you still have Nickel. Like, you still have a card that's threatening a lot of reduction, and that you can Scholar and kill 2 things. So
sometimes that 2 things is enough.
Yeah, and that might be enough to win you the game for sure. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, I would like to see some things get shaken up because I know me personally, I still enjoy the game. I still love the game a lot, and I still have a ton of fun
Hmm.
playing it. But I don't think that a lot of these decks are going to drastically change anytime soon unless something changes. And I'm sure some people like it that way, and that's great. If that's the way they're having fun, that's
Hmm.
awesome. But I think a lot of majority players don't want to see the same Earth Wind deck 5 sets down the road where they've only changed 5 cards. Um,
Hmm.
and I think Dottaluma changes the deck a bit, but there's still a lot of strong centerpieces of that deck that aren't going to go away. Same with like Wind Water and Mono Water, like you're
Hmm.
saying. It's hard to figure out what the right answer is here because you're going to make someone
Hmm.
mad no matter what.
I agree.
So, but I think we need to have some kind of thing in place where the game every so often is going to be like refreshed. And if it like
Exactly. And
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think that's the key word. Like you hit it right there on the head. Like because sometimes you do just need a just a quick refresh for a game because you again you hit the nail on the head by saying we're going to be seeing essentially the same iterations of decks for the next opus, the opus after that, minus maybe 5 to 6, maybe 8 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, at what point does that become stagnant and you're just like, oh good, I'm going to a tournament again, or I guess I want to win, I'm going to sleeve up this same 50 mono water deck and I'm going to play against it for 5 rounds straight, or like I think when you give a game a chance to almost find like a new identity, or and also too, right, when you do these things, when you ban these cards, even if you rotate things in and out, you get you could get some fresh eyes on the game. Like there's somebody who maybe doesn't want to play this game right now, who maybe they just don't like mono water, they don't like that deck, their locals are full of it, they went to a tournament outside their locals, all they did was play against mono water, they were like, fuck this, I'm out. But maybe 6 months from now, when that deck, because they've gotten rid of Cognazzo, they've gotten rid of, I don't know, they've gotten rid of Lena, they've gotten rid of Viking, they've gotten rid of Cloud, they've gotten rid of some of these cards. They've either rotated out or they've been banned or restricted. Maybe that player now wants to come back, and now there's new deck ideas, there's new archetypes possibly that have popped up from this. So now you've and most of the player base is going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to quit the game because they've rotated the deck out. I like to play. Opus 4 has been rotated out, or these cards have been banned. Not playing the game anymore. That's not me, because I think the game will still be fun regardless. But now I get a chance to explore new cards and try maybe a new deck archetype that maybe I didn't know that I enjoyed before. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And it does go back to just refreshing the game. And when we're talking about positives for bannings, you did kind of hit the nail on the head once again, that it does force players to change how they play. Like all your Earth Wind players are going to have to, and the ones who are like diehard Earth Wind players, a perfect example is Steven Arboleta, our own sweet summer child. He was pretty hot. He came in pretty hot about the Dottaluma ban. But you know what? He's a good player. He's going to learn to adapt. He's going to figure out what, if he's going to continue to play Earth Wind, he's going to find another set of cards to replace that. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
I think they're gonna have to ban more than just one card. I think that's the thing. Like it's gonna feel
Oh,
bad.
absolutely.
It feels really bad if you're the Earth Wind player because like they only banned that card, right? But what if they had
Mm-hmm.
like come out and been like, here's 7 cards that you can't play anymore, or here's 5 cards
Yep.
that you can't play anymore, and here's 3 cards that you can only play one of in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I do feel like they probably feel a little bit hard targeted, and you can't blame them but so much because like they just banned 1 card and that's the only deck that card is in that's oppressive.
Mm-hmm.
Because like all the other decks that Dotaluma's in are kind of like, he's just an AK that's like hard to deal with for some elements.
Mm-hmm.
So the one positive I'll say, or a few positives for like a rotation is the freshness you feel, I guess, is a lot higher because
Mm-hmm.
because you literally are like, these sets are gone. It's like hundreds of cards are gone, and so you're
Oh yeah.
forced to reevaluate things when a
Oh yeah.
rotation happens. Like everything, like if you only ban 5 cards, you'll reevaluate some stuff that you couldn't play because X card was too good or it directly
Yeah.
countered it. But if you rotate and you're like, these 4 sets are gone, You have to
Hmm.
reevaluate like everything post those 4 sets.
Well,
Um,
and I'm glad you said that because this is one of my things as far as rotation. Because I personally like rotations more than I like band. That's just me. That's how I feel about it.
I do too.
I
Well, I just want to interrupt for 1 second.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I do too, but when a game isn't prepared to rotate, I prefer them to ban because like I think this game obviously hasn't, and they've said it, they didn't want to prepared to
Hmm.
for a rotation. So I feel like it feels a lot worse because you have all these cards that are literally identity based cards and elements that we've been playing for so long, and if all of them
Absolutely.
just go away or some of them go away for some elements and the other elements get to keep theirs, it's going to be a big deal
Hmm.
because they haven't
Right.
thought of it in that way because they don't want to do it that way. And so I think in this game in particular, I think they force themselves to have to do bans and
Hmm.
erratas and restrictions as
Hmm.
opposed to a rotation.
And that is until because one of the good things about rotation as well, just to kind of segue for my other thought, when you have a full on rotation, it does kind of open up design space a little bit more. And maybe down the road in a few sets from now, they start creating cards that have rotation in mind. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
see, I don't like to use the word functional reprints, but cards that can kind of act in the stead of some of these cards that are getting ready to take a hike. Like a perfect example, the card of the week last week, the dragon from
Yazmat.
12. I can't remember its name.
Yazmat.
Yasmat. Imagine if that card was spoiled after, say Opus 1 through 5 rotated out.
Mm-hmm.
Say now then we saw that card. Now that we now are playing a game without Diabolos and without 5 CP Barts, and then we see a card like that, it would change the way you evaluate it a little bit. You're like, oh man, that reminds me. Oh wow, remember when we had Diabolos? Remember when we could play that card?
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of that. This card's excellent. People are going to be playing this card now because they'll yearn for that power level that they had with these cards. You know what I mean? So it creates a sense of excitement around cards that like when we evaluate it, we were like, why bother with that? I'm fine with Diabolos. I'm fine with Bart's. I'm fine with Fina. I'm fine with these other cards that do this better.
Mm-hmm.
But and it just goes back to what you said. It does force you to reevaluate things and how when new cards are coming in, you are going to look at them in a different light because they're going to do similar things to these other powerful cards. But it goes back to forcing you to have to change the way you play because you're going to play that card. If Diabolos is gone, you're not going to play that card the way you played a Diabolos. You just can't because obviously it's a forward versus a summon. But the way you set it up, the board states, the things you're going to have to look for your opening to play that are a lot different than it was when you're playing a Bartz and a Diabolos and setting up all these crazy turns.
Right.
So, and I think that's something that a lot of games need. Whereas, I guess what I'm saying is like I don't want to be in Opus 12 or 13, and all right, well, let me go ahead and build my Wind Water deck, and here I am still using 3 Diabolos, 3 Ishtola, 3 Zidanes, Yuri and Shalinka, Yuri and Shalinka, um, you know, 2 CP Una, the I Valifor, I don't want to be using these same cards. Meanwhile, they're printing all these new exciting things that just aren't good enough.
Yeah, I will say one thing I don't like about rotations. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
probably the last thing I can think of. Is it? I
Mm-hmm.
feel like when you start having these feature sets with rotation in mind, you end up creating a lot of cards that are like chaff, right? Like they're
Oh yeah, for
literally
sure.
cards, and I feel like this game doesn't have that problem yet. Like I feel like when you open boxes, sure there are cards that are like kind of suck, and
Mm-hmm.
there are a few cards that like have no text on them that are bad. But for the most part,
Uh-huh.
every card in this game is pretty unique and does something kind of
Oh.
unique, even if it's like slightly different than a card before. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no two cards in this game that are exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would, like I said, with the exception of maybe like just blank cards, which they don't really print anymore. I think the last time they printed one was Opus 5. Uh,
Yeah.
but like when you start getting in this mindset of rotations, I feel like at least I've noticed this in Magic a little bit, where there's just some lazy ass cards where they're just like you throw it in there, and I'm like that card's never ever gonna see play. Like there's just like no reason for me to ever play that card, and they just kind
Mm-hmm.
of like throw it in a set. Whereas I feel like for the most part, there are a few like literally only gonna see play in draft cards. Like I know in the last set, like the black mages and stuff, like you're probably only gonna see that like the ice black mage. You're probably gonna see that in
Oh
draft.
yeah.
But like there's not a lot of those. At least in my opinion, that's the way I feel. And
Well, there's definitely not. I think that's one of the best things about this game overall.
yeah. Whereas like I feel like if they do rotate, you're gonna be like, oh cool, Red Mage reprint, like sweet, like.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of the sets gonna end up being that, and then that allows them to like yeah, you're gonna have these powerful cards that like at the top end. I don't know. I just
Mhm.
don't want it to fall into the trap that Magic is in. I don't hate rotations as long as they're done properly, but I just
Right.
don't want it to fall into
And
that trap.
And again, to cite verses, I like the way they kind of like handled rotation percents because it wasn't so much a rotation as it was like different formats per se. Like I love that they had, all right, this competitive season is Silver Age or it's Modern Marvel or it's DC Modern
Mm.
or all right, well this season it's Golden Age. I like the fact that they and again that just goes back to like good design and they obviously had that in mind when they made the game and they made the sets. Um, I think that's a great way to have a rotation without really having a rotation per se because even the Golden Age cards will always be playable when Golden Age comes back around to be the format for the competitive season or for that particular event you're going to.
Yeah,
Um,
but for versus, the one thing they had, and is because of the way the teams worked.
yep,
When you
they
rotated
could
it
do.
out, it didn't feel as bad because like literally like if you rotated, you're like okay, Titans is just gone. Like you're not playing
Yep.
Titans in Modern. Um,
Hmm.
but you can't when you rotate in a game like this that has element identity. Like you can't just
Hmm.
you're not just gonna rotate lightning out. Like you can't just rotate the entire element, right? Like lightning
Yep.
still needs to have something after the rotation. Whereas at versus they didn't. Like it didn't matter that Titans was gone because you had to play these other teams that were newer, and
Yep.
that game had that advantage. I feel like, and that's why I liked it. Like when you rotate, it never felt bad because you knew these teams were going to be gone, and you were going to have to play from these pool of teams.
Yep.
Because, like I said, like once Origins is gone, you're not playing Titans. You're not playing Sentinels. I mean, you could play Sentinels, but you're not doing it. Like,
Yep.
and you can't do
But then
that.
you
And
also knew that you could still play those cards at a tournament where that format was what was being played.
yeah, and they obviously still supported that format at least until the game died. They did.
Yeah.
So I think that might be like a nice way to go is like have multiple formats, but I don't really know because I still feel like you lose some identity by losing some cards. So I don't
Oh,
know.
absolutely.
It's hard. It's hard. I can't really say one way is right and one way is wrong. I could just say what I prefer. You know.
Oh, absolutely, and that's kind of really the long and short of it, because there is a lot of good, and we've kind of sprinkled in the negative as we were going along, as opposed to just listing them outright. But I think the biggest negative, as far as just the way we've seen the banning so far, like Gesper and Thaumaturge, like that was perfect, like that was good, like those two cards needed to go, and it really opened the format back up.
I
Just banning just Dottaluma right now feels
yeah.
very
I still
like
think
like they missed the mark on this one. There's a couple other cards in several, like they could have done one or two cards in each element and done it like that, and
yeah.
that would have really shaken things.
No, I would have liked to have seen that better. Like maybe ban like one card from each element. Even if fire gets a ban, I don't care. Like
Oh yeah, because especially if that ban is like Phoenix, you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
yeah. I don't know if you want to do
The
that,
game
but
has changed at that point.
yeah, that might be a little rough because like I feel like it'd be a little unfair to fire, but I understand like where it would be coming from. I don't think Thaumaturge needed to be banned, but that's like a story for another day. I think Esper 100% needed to go.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. I really hope that Dotaluma's not the only ban going into Opus 9. Like, I would really like to see maybe not necessarily Y'shtola or Diabolos. Like, I don't know, because I feel like people are still kind of feels bad about Legends getting banned. But I think Zidane and Viking would probably be up there for me. That I would probably be okay with them going. So
yeah, I think if Zidane and Viking go, it's you will see that shakeup that you're looking for, and there's probably one or two other cards that you could easily like throw into that pot and not even bat an eye or just really force somebody to think about another, like even if you throw like 2 CP unit.
Yeah, I think Yuta and Riku are probably the next two that I would hit. Like I think that would be a good group of like 5 right there, right? Dottaluma, Zidane, Yuna, Riku, and what was the other card? Oh, Viking.
Yeah. Or just even if you want to even go that far, just get rid of that whole original YRP package. All three of them. Send them packing.
I think Pain can stick around if you ban the Riku and I think it's a lot harder to get her free stuff online, right? You'd have to play like the other backup Riku or the forward Riku. Yeah, and at that point, if you're playing YRP, you're probably just playing like the big Riku and the big Pain. So,
yeah, yeah. So maybe that is the answer, and and who knows, right? Because like I know like there's a lot of like the shakeups are happening in these next couple sets. I mean, Kageyama's even said it with the creation of a new keyword, dual element cards. So like change is coming. So that's why I'm not like all pitchforks in the dirt. Got my cowbell. Banging it. On the street corner.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
the harbinger of death because the game's getting ready to change. But I think if they're going the ban route, I think they just need to be a little bit more. I don't want to say thorough, but just be a little bit more. Can't think of the right word, but you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I will say one. This is probably the last thing, at least the last thing on my mind. The only thing I don't like the idea of bans like going forward is I don't want to get to the point where in order to play competitively, you have to look at this ban list that's as long as like the Chris Jericho like 1,000 move Predator sheet like. That's what I feel like it gets bad.
1,001 bans, baby. I love it.
Like when your ban sheet is like maybe 20 cards or something. It's not terrible. Even 20 feels like a lot to me. Because in versus, I'm trying to think. It was like 10 maybe in the entire life.
Yeah, it was 10, and it was all. And thankfully, it was all like the same like bullshit combo cards. Like it was your Devil's Dues, your rigged elections, but then you had like your Professor Chimp and Fiddler that were randomly in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was the point. It was small. It was like you could literally pull it up on your phone, and you didn't even have to minimize. You're like, oh yeah, I can see it all on one screen. We're good.
Yeah, like if we have so many bands where there's a page 2, like that's probably bad. I know I exaggerate a little bit with the 1,000 pages, but like, if there's ever like a page 2, I feel like that's already not in a good place. And at that point, like rotations would have just made way more sense.
Exactly. And I think that's the point right there. If you can ban and keep it within like a very healthy number, then I think you can just go without rotation. But if it does get to a point where like the ban hammer just starts hitting everything, you're better off just rotating.
Yeah, like I think the problem is, like to keep things fresh. If you're banning like 20 cards at a time or something, that's bad. But if you're only banning, the problem is like right now, if we set the precedent that we ban 5 and then in 4 more sets we ban 5, that's going to start adding up too. It also depends on how long the game lasts too. I mean, I hope the game lasts a long time, but it probably won't last forever. As sad as that is to say. But
Oh yeah, it has a shelf life for sure. But I'm here to ride it out until that expiration date. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm here too.
It's like a Twinkie, man. I hope it lasts forever. But I mean, overall, I think right now it's in a good spot. Maybe another card or two could definitely go. But I think, you can even go to FF decks, and things are pretty diverse. I mean, yeah, there are clearly top archetypes that are still going to continue to be good. But I can still say I very rarely, in every tournament I've ever been to, and this is from the moment I started playing competitively, very rarely do I play against an archetype, with the exception of Turbo Discard. Turbo Discard was the only exception to this, and which is why these were the most healthy bans the game has seen. I've never gone to a tournament and played the same archetype more than twice. Even in a field that is like packed full of mono water, maybe I just got lucky with navigating the matchups. Like I'd never play that matchup more than twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're a bit spoiled by that for sure. Like we have our fields are pretty diverse in comparison to other card games that I've played.
Oh yeah, like if you go to a Magic tournament, like right now, if you go to a standard Magic tournament, you're probably going to play against Mono Red Aggro 4 times in a row. Then you're going to play against Esper Hero another 2 times in a row. Then you're going to be like, well, fuck this game. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas here, like I know I'll play against Fire Ice round 1, then maybe I'll play against Earth Wind round 2, then maybe I'll play against Fire Ice again. But there's a good chance until Top Cut, I'm probably not going to see Fire Ice again, one way or another. You know, like it's not that the decks aren't there, but not every single person is on the same deck, which is what really helps keep the game feeling fresh for sure.
Yeah.
So, but overall, man, you know, tell us what you guys think. You know, post in the comments below. You know, when we post this on the Facebook pages, on YouTube, you know, let us know what you think. Do you prefer bannings? Do you prefer rotations? I know it's been I know a lot of people have talked about it on Alex's article, and if you haven't read that, go back and read it. It's a good read, and you know, maybe it'll kind of, you know, maybe you've been feeling that way too, because I know I have, and I think either way, I don't think there's a wrong answer. What if you like one as opposed to the other, or you don't like either? You know, you want the game to just be the Wild West. You know, that's not a wrong answer either. You play the game the way you like it. That's why you play the game. You know, just let us know what you think. Let us know if there's cards you'd want to see banned, or if they were going to do a rotation. How far up do you want to see sets 1 through 3, 1 through 4, or whatever? You know, just let us know what you think. But otherwise, Adam, any parting thoughts this week?
I got nothing. I feel like I've rambled enough. So.
Yeah, but it's a good topic, especially right now with the game getting ready to change like it is, for sure. But other than that, I've got nothing. I know we've got an LQ coming up next weekend at Jersey's. That's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're gonna tech deck team deck 4.0. I think we're gonna do it again.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I dig it. But otherwise, I've got nothing. And you know, next week we'll be back talking about, you know, probably more spoilers, more events, all kinds of good stuff. You know, the stuff that you come in to tune in every week. Probably some one-liners. You know, maybe another John Wick reference or two. You know, we'll see what happens when we get there. But otherwise, signing off for this week, guys. As always, thanks for listening.
Yep. See you later.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners. And make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.